Welcome back to GA Fan TV. This is the instant match reaction after Cork have beaten Limerick 217 to 22 points at Páirc Uí Chaoimh. A massive victory indeed for Cork. A huge comeback. What a sensational turnaround, a sensational comeback from the Rebels. 8 points down at half-time, trailing 16 points to 8 in the first half. Going into the second half, we were thinking, looking at that first half performance, it was pretty lifeless from Cork. And in more ways than one, they were just lacking that sort of energy that you normally associate with Cork teams down the years, and they just didn't really seem up for the occasion. And sometimes you can put it down to the opening weekend of the league, or Limerick were very good in fairness in the first half, but and Cork are very sloppy, and there was a bit of rustiness maybe on show from both sides. But you've seen in the second half, I think if you're a Cork supporter watching on, you're thinking that's what you want to see. New manager coming in as well. And usually with new managers, you get that bounce, you get that sort of instant impact. And in the first half, you're looking at it and thinking, under Pat Ryan, like, things look very sort of stale for Cork. But in fairness to them, a fantastic comeback in the second half. Robbie O'Flynn was outstanding, scoring 1-1. Obviously, suffered a huge injury there towards the end of the game as well. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious, and we can see him back hurling on the field soon enough. And especially for Cork supporters, to have him back for when the championship comes around. At the worst, I think would be good to see, because he was absolutely outstanding. I felt Declan Dalton as well, obviously getting the second goal, in the right place at the right time. Really good instinctive finish, and obviously Patrick Horgan getting out of the way. And in fairness to Cork, they just showed a lot more energy. They were pressing up on puckouts. They were just making a lot more happen. And you could see Limerick trying to do their thing, trying to run it through the middle, the sure hand passes, the stick work that we normally associate with Limerick. And they couldn't do it in the second half. And they were struggling to create opportunities, Limerick, in the second half. And, I think in total they hit 6 points in the second half. I think 2 or 3 of them were from, 65s and frees as well. So Limerick really struggled to sort of get their groove. And the injury actually probably came at a good time for Limerick, because it really sort of killed the momentum of the game. And Limerick hit, I think, 2 or 3 points without reply after that, to build up a 2-point lead, sort of going into the closing minutes. But yeah, massive credit has to go to Cork and to Pat Ryan for making those necessary changes, going into the second half, pushing up a bit more. And taking more risks and taking more chances, and they were getting the dangerous ball into Robbie O'Flynn, dangerous ball into the likes of Declan Dalton, and they were getting into those positions. And Conor Lahan as well, I remember, scored a nice point as well, and Cork just made a big impact. And I suppose from a Limerick point of view, we have seen this with them in the league down the years, in the last couple of seasons, where it does look a little bit flat and it does look a little bit lethargic. But in fairness to them, in the first half, I thought they were very, very good. I thought it was like watching Championship Limerick in more ways than one. David Reedy was excellent. Grode Hegarty, looked like we normally see Grode Hegarty produce big performances in All-Ireland finals, and he was bringing that type of performance in the first half. The influence in the game he was having was absolutely brilliant. Darragh O'Donovan getting involved. Aaron Costello looked quite lively. Barry Murphy, who came into the side, was impressive. And in fairness, it's a fairly strong enough Limerick side. I mean, obviously no Aaron Gillan. Keane Lynch obviously came on as a second half substitute. Still have Jeremy Burns to come back, Nicky Quaid to come back into the side as well. So there were a few lads missing, but you still had, obviously, the likes of Grode Hegarty out there. Declan Hannon was obviously playing. Shamie Flanagan was playing as well, who looked quite lively. And Limerick in the first half, they looked in their groove, they looked in the mood, they looked sharp, they were just quicker to every ball. They were winning those 50-50 battles, and they were getting into the, making use of the half spaces a lot better, I felt. And Cork did look a little bit flat, but when they get that goal at the start of the second half from Robbie O'Flynn in the 35th minute, fantastic finish, an absolute bullet of an effort in off the post. And Cork looked like, from there, that they had the momentum. They had obviously the crowd behind them as well. Patrick Horgan was getting a couple of points. It was interesting with Horgan as well, because he was missing a lot of 65s, and I was surprised they didn't maybe make a change there and maybe bring, I'm not sure who else maybe could have went on the 65s there. But maybe make a change, because it wasn't really working for Patrick Horgan, I felt, in the game from 65s. He finished with 10 points. He probably could have finished with about 16 or 17. Because I remember 5 or 6 efforts, going wide or dropping short. But I think all in all, he was still involved in the game. He hit a couple of points from play as well. He was setting up a couple of scores, and the attitude from Cork was just a lot better. And there was just a period in that second half. I think Cork hit about 2-6 to 2 scores at one stage, and Limerick just couldn't get to grips with it at all. And Kieran Joyce, fantastic performance from him. I mean, the point he scored was sensational. Catches a high ball ahead of Shamey Flanagan. Plays a 1-2 with one of the Cork defenders, and then runs through the middle and slots it comfortably over the bar. That was a brilliant point from him. And defensively, to be fair to Cork, I thought they did do all right. I thought, Owen Downey was fairly, I thought he did a fairly good game. And Limerick didn't have too many goal chances, really, from what I remember. I don't think they had any goal chances. Don't remember, really, Patrick Collins having to make a save. So, that will give Cork a bit of confidence because, last year that was kind of their Achilles heel, wasn't it? When you think of Waterford cutting through them time and time again. So to see Cork being a lot more solid defensively, I think will give them a lot more confidence. And from a Limerick perspective in the second half, obviously it is the opening day of the league. We've seen this from Limerick. They look like they got tired quite quickly. And I think conditioning wise and fitness probably isn't there just yet. It was only a couple of weeks ago, a lot of these lads were away in Dubai, from looking at, various, some of the players' Instagrams and everything else. So you could tell there that, there was probably a bit of fitness lacking. But you could see the skill levels were still there. And even when Keane Lynch came on, although he didn't score, you could see that sort of stick work with the ball, the skill level, the technical ability was there. I think in time, as the league goes on, you'll see Limerick improve. You'll see them get better, and they'll kick into gear by the time championship comes around. And but even looking at the fans as well, look, a lot of people saying the National Hurling League isn't that important. It doesn't really matter. You look at the supporters there at the end of the game, jumping around, cheering. The excitement that we've seen from Limerick supporters was absolutely great to see. And I think for most Limerick or for most Cork fans, they'll be very, very happy with coming away with that victory, in my opinion. Northern Ireland Railways Train Spotter Belfast says great comeback by Cork. Cork will probably win the league. Yeah, I think it will. I think Cork, Galway maybe is two sides I'd look at as big contenders there to win the league. Obviously, Galway with a big sort of comeback win of their own a little bit earlier. I mean, Wexford were sort of in control in the first half, and then Galway sort of kicked into gear and ended up winning it quite comfortably in the end. So yeah, you'd look at it between Galway and Cork, they're the sides that have something to prove. They need to be winning silverware, putting trophies on the board. Limerick, we know once the championship comes around that they're going to be seriously good and they're going to be at it from minute one. And once that championship comes around, so still a lot of positives to take from a Limerick point of view. Even some of the new lads who came into the side, the likes of Barry Murphy, even some of the substitutes as well, I thought looked fairly impressive coming off the bench. Barry as well, who got on the score sheet. So from a Limerick perspective, Adam English, he scored 2 points, looked all right. David Reedy with 8 points, played a good, got a good couple of points. Colin Coughlin in there at wing back as well. So definitely positives to take from a Limerick perspective. But, as Patrick says here, it's the league, who cares? And yeah, I'm sure for Limerick, once the championship comes around, that will be the main focus for them, really. And I don't think any Limerick supporters will really be losing that much sleep. I think it's fair to say the win meant a lot more for Cork than it would have meant for Limerick. And considering Limerick being that far ahead in the game, it makes that victory feel that bit sweeter. But as we're saying there, for Limerick, we know once the championship comes around that they're going to be, into gear. And when these two play each other in the championship in that Munster round robin, that's the result ultimately that matters. But from a Cork perspective, some very, very good performances. And, hopefully Robbie O'Flynn makes a quick recovery from that injury and we see him back hurling out on the field soon. Cheers to anyone who tuned in to the match reaction. Hit the like button and subscribe. We'll be going live tomorrow for a watch along of the Armagh and Mayo game in the National Football League, as well as plenty of reactions to games up and down the country that are taking place tomorrow. So very excited to look at some football and hurling action tomorrow. So yeah, cheers anyone who tuned in. Hit the like button, subscribe, and see you later.